Call me Little Bo Beep, I'm out here shining. For the lost sheep, I'm out here grinding. I ain't talking cheese, I'm out here mining. Looking for diamonds, kingdom business, I'm mining. Trying to wake you up from the lullaby rhyming. Devil can't touch this heat, pantomiming. He is a liar, so said the lion Judah. Shelter in my protector, running to him, be faster than a puma. Holy is a wave, repping the ancient of days. Christ is the big kahuna. Got good news, I'ma give it to you. Giving all praise to the Most High. Got the victory, no night, no. Seeing ain't popping like a old Sprite. Good news, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, got the victory, no night, no night. Seeing ain't popping like a old Sprite. You are my everything. Yeah, get that. You keep my soul from the flame. You even know my name. Yeah. You will reign. Breaking news. Get down. We a Jew. Yeah. Hallelujah. Talk to 'em. Yeah. Baptism. Jumping out the water like free willing. Rolling with Christ, no free willing. You feel it standing, you roll different. Ooh, son of man. Ain't like us, you move different. They don't like us, we move with them. No Oscars, we act different. Got good news, I'ma give it to you. Giving all praise to the Most High. Got the victory, no night, no. Seeing ain't popping like a old Sprite. Good news, I'ma give it to you. Got the victory, no night, no. Seeing ain't popping like a old Sprite. You are my everything. Yeah, get that. You keep my soul from the flame. You even know my name. Yeah. You will reign. Breaking news. Get down. We a Jew. Yeah. Hallelujah. Talk to 'em. Yeah.
Time is running out, it's almost over. Once you're waking up, we taking over. I esteem above myself, my brothers. And I love the way my sisters shine, they them daughters. We here now, all esteem to the Most High. It's our time. Put your garment on for the showdown. Repent now, ain't no salvation from the ZZs. The kingdom is here, and it's all up in your mouth.
You are my everything.
You're my everything.
You keep my soul from the flame. You even know my name.
You know my name.
You will reign. Breaking news. We a Jew.
Shalom Israel, this is Soldier Nadiyah with the verse of the day. I'm coming from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verse 24. But But when the righteousness turneth away his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, he doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth. Shall he live? All his righteousness that he have done shall not be mentioned, and his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he have sinned, and them shall he die. So we already know we have to choose life and death, and we know the commandments is life. So when you decide to do wickedness, you're signing up for your own death. And no matter what you did prior, it doesn't even matter. It won't even be mentioned. So if I turn wicked today, all the good works and good fruits I did won't be mentioned to save me. I have to work diligently and stay in this word so Christ can be my mediator. So meditate and focus on this and stay in the word. Shalom.
Double mine, can't get up. I gotta choose what's right, leading to the light. Get the slack on my back, just been fall 7 times, it gets right back. I gotta be determined, can't let myself hold me back. Even don't know what bad you enjoy in it. I can only deliver myself with my own righteousness. It's just a war inside. Trying to control my mind, but I hold the line. I gotta hold the line. Stay strong and endure. Don't look back. Don't look back. Live the new and live. Just fight back. Fight back when we. I'm at war with my members. Face to face every day with my contender. I wanna do what's right, but my flesh keep it kindling. That beggar is different, plus fight in my spirit. I seen this, the outcome is wicked. I got old love knocking at my door. She like, can you make room one more? Ain't trying to be around all that, I'm trying to ground all that. I'm trying to get back to the way just to confound all that. Time to turn back to the mission. Time to take back what is missing. Checking my bags, I be a minute. Through all the pain and the affliction, I know it's just a war inside. It's just a war inside. Trying to control my mind, but I hold the line. I gotta hold the line. Stay strong and endure. Don't look back. Don't look back. Live the new and live. Just fight back. Fight back when I'm on it. Lately I've been staying out the way, cause I don't want that bad sneaking up on me today. And I don't waste my time on what people, what they think. I focus on what's mine, doesn't matter what they say. Ay, I learned that love from my brother, not to make friend with the devil. If I offend him, by versa, we gon' bounce back like some rubber. Watch out now, nah. No fiction, straight facts, let the heathen react. This is the patient of the saint, cause it's a war inside. Yes, it's a war inside. And I ain't trying to die, I gotta hold the line, I gotta keep my mind, I gotta hold it down all at the same damn time. War inside, it's just a war inside. Trying to control my mind, but I hold the line. I gotta hold the line. Stay strong and endure. Don't look back. Don't look back. Live the new and live. Just fight back. Fight back when we. Created to be upright. I ain't something that they don't like. Give me a minute if you don't mind. Understanding it is no price. Worldly lust is what we don't need, but they gon' tell you what's contrary. You the greatest, but they won't say. So raise your glass as I do say. I'm created to be alright. I'm created to be alright. I'm created to be alright.
Shalom Yasharala. This is Captain Cano with the Anointed House of Saints. I got the scripture of the day. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. And it reads, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So our people that don't realize that we are being oppressed, they happy-go-lucky in this world, you know. They don't want to see anything happen to the other nations. But the people who understand that we are being oppressed, it makes them mad. It's going to make your blood boil. At some point, we're going to all be like the Incredible Hulk and want to go wild. And it says a gift destroyed the heart. The gift is that these people are giving to you, you know, can we all just get along and stick together? And that's destroying you inside. Again, this is Captain Cano, Anointed House of Saints. Shalom.
AHOS.
Jonathan got bars, man. He got bars. But he always making slow music, man. Wanna pray to his music, meditate. He can't get hype, man. Sometimes I wanna get hype for the Lord. Come on, man.
Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post. Blood on the post, 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 keeping them close. Man, we got fringes and seats on the clothes. Me and my brothers ain't sleeping, we reading the secrets. The deepest you've been is the ocean. Now we've been swimming in waters that's deeper than rivers. The Jordan, we creeping up on them. It's the 14th of the month. Bone Thugs one day late for the show. Oh. Ain't never been out, ever since Red Pen Pals. You too late, you let them in now. We like veterans, niggas, that's power. These secrets only come through steady, no regrets. We walk through water like Jesus. We raising the dead, you see this. Look at this evening pose. Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post. Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post.
We holding post, chopping up doctrines, they ain't coming close. They had up 3 strikes like I'm Warner Franco. We're Rochelle toast. Wisdom is better than silver and gold. This water is knocking down wicked Pharaoh. Can't swim through the sea, made it was too slow. Pharaoh was sober-minded, think he can and go. Escape on a starry night, Victor Van Gogh. Living good unchained like Quincy Django. Sharpers down in the hood, now they wanna tango. Death angels coming close, so watch your back, bro. Watch your back, bro. We grilling that lamb, we gon' eat that. That bread and bitter herb, we gon' eat that. Doing this till you how I come and see that. We that. Oh.
Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post. The Pesach and Nissan, we found faith in Misraim. We got to be strong. Walking through water, pray we don't sink. Strapped up, boots tight. Walking upright, boy, we don't lean. 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 Walking upright, we see that. Blood on the post. Blood on the post, 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 blood Blood on the blood on the post, blood on the post, blood on the post. Blood on the blood on the post, blood on the post, blood on the post.
Shalom, 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 Yasha'Allah. This is your Officer Knock coming at you. And I'm joined with Captain Shah All. This is another Milk Monday lesson. I want to welcome everyone this evening. But first and foremost, before we get started, I want to first give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim Mashak Yahweh Shai. I want to thank everyone for coming in, for always being dedicated to come and share and participate in our class because we try to bring out the most edifying lessons as possible for you, right? Tonight's lesson is going to be something that we've spoke about, we've taught about several times, and we're going to continue to talk about this particular topic and subject because it's one that is misconstrued throughout everywhere of our people who are caught up in Christianity. But the lesson is called A Complete Lesson on Gentiles and Salvation. A complete lesson on Gentiles and salvation. So before we get started, before I give the shout outs, I'll always give a hearty, invite to any brothers who are wanting to put their brick in to build this kingdom. You can do so by doing this. Send us an email at anointedhos@gmail.com. Put your request in and we will get the information to you as to what the steps you need to take to start that process. Also, for our sisters, we have what's called the Sisters Corner that will be starting up shortly. We're getting it together. Sisters, just hold down. We're getting it. We're going to have it for you. For those sisters who want to help put their brick in, right? Who want to put their brick in to build this congregation, to build this kingdom. As I've said before, we can't get the kingdom without you. So we need our sisters there with us. So any sister who wants to participate, who wants to be a part of this congregation, who wants to help build this congregation, please do so by sending us your request by email to anointedhos@gmail.com. Also, upcoming events. Of course, you know that the Feast of Dedication is coming up. It's right around the corner. We will be celebrating Feast of Dedication the weekend, December 7th. We will be in different states, in different cities. Anyone who wants to participate in the participating or the cities that we are in, please send us an email again, anointedhos@gmail.com. We'll get that information. Matter of fact, put in the subject line Feast of Dedication 2023, so we know that this is exactly what you're asking about, and we will get that information and location as to where brothers will be holding the feast for dedication. Like I said, the weekend of December 7th. Also, we have a unity camp coming up down the road, New Year's Unity Camp that will be taking place in Charlotte. That will be taking place on December 29th, 30th, and 31st. It's a New Year's Unity Camp. There's a few camps that are going to be joining with us. I don't have the list, and I'm not going to give out just a couple names. I should have wrote the list down, but I will have it next time to give to you. Anyone who wants to participate with that and show up in Charlotte, please also let us know by email, anointedhos@gmail.com. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and get these shout outs going, and then we can go ahead and get the class started. So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. I hope everyone is doing great tonight. It's another Monday, right? Second day, right? The second day, not the first day, but the second day. And as always, I want to give a hearty shalom to Sister Joan Gilchrist. Shalom, shalom to Akmasha. Thank you for being here. Shalom to Coach CR 617. Shalom to John Allen. Shalom to Levi, the Edomite Slayer. Shalom to Captain Yakum Yah. Shalom to Captain Kanal. Shalom to Soldier Nadia. Shalom to Brother Nazar. Shalom, brother. Glad to have you here. Shalom to Brother Malak Yawasap. Shalom to Sister L. Hearty shalom to our brother AHOS Prospect Araya. Shalom to Officer Shemaiah. Shalom to Captain Shaquat out in the Bay. Shalom. Shalom to Officer Boaz. Shalom to Prospect Yaquab. Shalom to you, brother. Shalom to Leah. Shalom, sis, good to see you. Shalom to World Without End. Shalom to Sister Belen Christella. Shalom. Shalom to Yahawada. Salakia, to Yawashan, Judah, Shalom. Shalom to you, brother. Shalom and peace to
Yashawan.
Ariel.
That's Yahweh camp in the building. Shalom,
Is
man.
that, that's Yahweh camp? Salakia, Yashawan, Salakia for the mispronunciation. Yashawan, Judah, Shalom to you, brother. Yahweh's camp. Hey, that'll be one of the camps to be in unity with us and for the New Year's Unity camp. I do know that. Ariel, Shalom to you, brother. Shalom to Chakma. Shalom, sis. Shalom to AHOS Quadash. And I will give shout outs to anyone else who comes in the building later. I'll write your name down. And as long as you post that you're here in the chat, then I will shout you out. So without further ado, we're going to get this class started. Again, the title of the class tonight is A Complete Lesson on Gentiles and Salvation. This is a class that we're going to always teach something about this because it's just something that needs to be repeated in some of our people's heads to get the Most High gives all the awakening, but we still do the job by bringing this word out for our people. So without further ado, Captain, Shar, all it's all you.
Shalom, y'all. Of course, as always, we want to start by giving our honor and praise to the Most High Yahweh, Bashem, or in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. I want to make a correction for Knock. I won't be teaching this no more.
I wasn't talking about you, and not necessarily you, but it's something that
don't keep teaching it. But me,
well,
me, I'm tired of teaching y'all about the Gentiles. So
right.
This is going to be a comprehensive Milk Monday lesson with a whole bunch of precepts. I ain't showing y'all no video this time. Last time we did a video, we talked about the Ethiopian eunuch. We showed you guys how that's a Israelite, right? We showed you guys how Cornelius is an Israelite, right? And we basically just talked we did a commentary on the video about that pastor that was speaking about the Gentiles. This time I'm gonna give you guys just in-depth precepts on how to be able to prove that to somebody, right? Via milk. So a little bit of history, a little bit of precepts, and we're gonna get up out of here. All right. So first things first, Psalm chapter 50, verse 16. Because I want to start with this one because the argument with the Gentiles, as we know, is that the Christian church has taught us that Gentiles, right, heathen, people not of the Israelite stock, so-called Black, Hispanic, Native Americans, and the people that descend from them scattered abroad due to the Atlantic, transatlantic, and other captivities that the Jews have been in, right? But we've been taught that these people, people on the planet other than those people can be saved, right? And that's not the case. So we're gonna start with this. Psalm 50 and 16. You're on mute, Nark, if you're talking.
Yeah, here we go. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 50 and verse 16. But unto the wicked, God saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth?
See, so the heathen authentically such, right? Those people who are ethnic heathen, they don't have anything to do with the Bible and can't have anything to do with the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes time to them getting the law, once we're in the kingdom, they won't be reading it from our book per se. They'll be getting the laws from us as the priests, right? So, like, they won't be partaking in the things that we partake in as a nation when it comes to the book, the feast days, and all that type of stuff, right? Certain things they'll be allowed to do because they'll have to, due to them having to keep the law. But like all the festive matters and the things that we do when we congregate, they won't be a part of doing that stuff, and they won't be a part of doing it with us, right? So, like, Psalm 50 and 16 is explaining what did they do with the Most High's covenant period, right? Because it had nothing to do with them. We know that the main stance for the Christian church is that they use, the Gentiles basically to say that that's who the Christian church is, and they've taken the place of the Israelites, right? So now they're the people that receive the everlasting salvation, as it says in the scriptures, that is set aside for the Israelite nation, right? Now they've basically adopted that, grafted themselves into that salvation, right? So Yeah, the precepts that we're going to go into now basically are going to talk about why it is that Yahushua was telling the disciples to go into all nations, right? Because that, I think, is the main stumbling block when it comes to addressing the Gentiles, right? Why would they be told to go into all nations if God wasn't trying to save people in all nations or all the nations or whatever, right? Yeah, of course, everybody in all the nations isn't going to become a Christian, but the ones that are, those are the ones that God wanted to save, right? This would be the constant argument that you hear when it comes to the Christians and them trying to explain why Matthew 28:19, for example, says what it says. So can we get that right quick now? Matthew chapter 28, verse 19. You on mute again, so make sure you unmute yourself.
Con, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 28 and verse 19. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit.
Right. So this is a question that a lot of Christians will have because it will become the thing where, well, what about this? Right. So if you're ever at camp, you bring this out. There's a series of ways you could go through this, right? Number of different ways that you could go through this and explain this. But today we're going to start with the Deuteronomy 28:64. So bring that out for me, please.
Yep.
Because what we have to understand is that, well, for one, the Israelites were scattered into all nations, right? So it would make sense for them, when it comes time to, now the gospel is being told to them, the good news, right? That they'd be saved from these places they've been scattered from. So first thing to be able to explain would be how it is that they got scattered in the first place, right? So Deuteronomy 28, verse 64.
This is the book. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So clearly, right, the Israelites would be scattered into all nations, right? And then they even have to serve other gods in these other nations. So also you can give me James 1:1, because we also see this as a pattern in the New Testament as well, right? Peter has an instance where he says something similar to this. In fact, we'll go ahead and get that one too. So just to bring it out, just to leave no stones unturned, right? So James 1:1.
It's the book of
Just
James,
to prove that even during the time of James, right, who's brother of the Messiah, Yahushua, right? Meaning from the time that Moses is on the scene, is being spoken about, which is Deuteronomy, right? The second law, this is the Torah, all the way to the time that James is now on the scene, right? Centuries later, we're actually in the captivity that they're talking about. If you believe in the book of Baruch, right? Chapter 3, verse 8, Baruch tells you that we would yet this day be in the land of our captivities. So this is something to, be able to add to that understanding, right? On how the Israelites actually got scattered. Go ahead. James 1:1.
This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting.
All right. So as you see, this is a greeting, right? A shalom, hearty shalom to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad to the four corners of the earth, right? Give me 1 Peter chapter 1:1 too. Grab that for me one time. Then we're gonna get into some history, right? So just to give a second example, whenever you got that, go ahead and read it.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia.
And notice that the Israelites are called strangers in this verse, right?
That's right.
Why is that? Because according to Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4, right, we would become strangers to our heritage, right? We would discontinue from that, right? So basically, when you discontinue from something or discontinue something, right? Say Knock is a singer, right? And he's like big time singer. He discontinues from singing, right? And then all of a sudden he just like forgets how to sing. Voice becomes trash, starts sounding like Judge Judy on the microphone. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the great Knock dedicated, right? So like What we have to understand is that's a situation where now, Knock will be a stranger to singing. It's not something he knows how to do anymore, right? So, it's the same thing with the scriptures and the Israelites and the law and their heritage, right? Real quick, just sidebar. Jeremiah 17:4. I'll read that right quick. I want you to give me Sirach chapter 24, 23. Because it's something else to understand. I didn't put this in the precepts, but it makes sense to go ahead and explain it, right? Because we see that we become strangers, right, to the covenant that we had and everything like that, which we're gonna explain in a minute. But and First Peter is calling us strangers, right? So us being strangers to the covenant and everything like that, why is it that we would be considered strangers and they're saying what's up to us, right? Well, it's because these strangers that they're talking to are the ones that they're supposed to be trying to bring back to the law. This was Paul's specific job, right? As the prophet to the Gentiles. So who are these Gentiles that Paul was a prophet to, right? Why were they so important and important enough for, the apostles to say what's up to them, to want to greet them and stuff like that, right? If these are just some regular people that are just scattered to the four corners of the earth. So get that from me. Well, actually, let me get Jeremiah first.
Jeremiah first? Yeah, all right, you get it. Yeah.
I'll get Jeremiah. This is Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. It says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. So the Most High gave the Israelites a heritage, right? That we would discontinue from. AKA, they would become strangers to this heritage that the Most High gave them, right? So, Knock, what is that heritage? Read that.
God, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 24 and verse 23. All these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High God, even the law which Moses commanded for an heritage unto the congregations of Jacob.
Right? So this whole book is a heritage that Moses commanded unto the congregations of Jacob, right? And as we see, Moses also was the first person that we brought out, told them that they were going to be scattered. Okay? So if you will, this scattering would also be something that would be a part of the heritage of the Israelites, right? In order to be considered an Israelite, you have to be somebody that was scattered. That's a fact, right? This is also a testament to the fact that the Jewish people are not Israelites because, well, they only were scattered across the continent of Europe, which wouldn't count as the four corners of the earth. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So Jeremiah 17:4, we got that. Bow. Let's get 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. So now we got James and Peter, rather, explaining to you and showing you how during their time the Israelites are still scattered because they're greeting them, right? As strangers and as the Israelites that are scattered across the four corners of the earth. So Peter's acknowledged that they're no longer attached to the covenant because they're strangers to such, right? And James is acknowledging that they're still scattered to the four corners of the earth. So both of which are greeting the 12 tribes, and they're telling you the two different conditions that they see them in. So how did they get into those conditions, right? First things first, the losing of the heritage, them not calling themselves Israelites anymore, right? This is how we get the understanding of there being no difference between Jew nor Greek, right? Which is something, if you get an educated Christian, they'll also bring this up. Christians that know a little bit of something about the New Testament, a little bit, they're always going to go to Galatians chapter 3, right? Yep. And something that you can use to cut Galatians chapter 3 is the history that we're about to go into right now, right? So 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. Why is there no difference between Jew nor Greek?
That's right. This is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6. Can I read verse 1 and then jump to 6?
Yep, go ahead. Do your thing.
Yeah. This is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and
so
not.
Pause. My bad.
No, you're good.
So this old man of Athens, right? Well, first of all, why are they in Athens?
Right.
Who's in Athens? What type of people are from Athens that you know? right? Because we know most people just off the flip, they're not going to know the original people of Athens that we spoke about a couple weeks ago, right? But, you know, the people that you would think of from Athens, the one you've seen in the movies like Hercules and such, right?
Olympics.
Leonidas and them, right?
Right.
Where are these people from? Or who would they be, rather, right? So they would be the Greeks, right? The Greek people, the Greek freaks, so-called white people, right? Polymelanages people, right? So what we have to understand is that these people at some point had us in captivity, right? Before they were known as Europeans and all the different names they have now. While they were the Greeks and then soon to be the Romans, right? And Idumea and all the different names that they went through while they were in that land and coming from that land. They basically put us in captivity, right? Within that captivity, as Knock just read that part again. There was a man or men rather, because it wasn't just one man. It was multiple occasions where this happened, right? But they would send certain people to Israel and other places that they had us scattered because, well, we'll just say it. This is the Greek captivity under Alexander, right? So Alexander, being a powerful man at the time, conquered a whole lot of area. He anywhere that was conquered by him, he had slaves, right? And unfortunately, once Judea was taken over, the majority of the slaves were coming from us, right? So we've always been the people known for working, known for being good slaves, right? So of course he's going to use us to build up his kingdom. That's what was happening. So they scattered us from Greece to, you know, the Middle East, so-called, all the way to India, to Alexandria, Egypt, all these different places, right? And everywhere that we're scattered, we're in a situation where they send somebody around us or multiple people, right, to teach us the ways of the Greeks, to show us how Greekish fashions would make us feel, you know, more like the people that are surrounding us, as opposed to us being these separate people, right? These holy people, the Israelites, right? So when you go into the history of it, right, there was a lot of compelling things that were happening, right? A lot of compulsion. And some things the Bible talks about, like the gym that was placed around our temple, right? The gymnasium was a big thing in Greek culture. And if you know anything about it, they, you know, it shows how freaky the Greeks was. They basically go around and be naked and work out and stuff like that, right? And have little boys spotting them and stuff like that. So hold on just a second. So like what would happen is when they're in that situation, right? They're basically using the things that Greeks find attractive to try to compel our people to find those things attractive too, because it's the norm in society, right? Go ahead, now.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up. You brought up the
kind of like what they're doing with homosexuality right now,
right? And this kind of goes with you brought up the word gymnasium, and I wonder if anyone knows. Anyone in chat know where the word gymnasium derives from? Maybe the etymology.
They're not going to answer fast enough. Gymnos.
Okay, gymnos. That goes into actually. So at the time of the Greeks, when they had the what's called Greco-Roman style wrestling today.
Y'all know anything about that? First of all, you ever heard of Kurt Angle, the WWE wrestler?
Right.
Y'all know that German suplex he used to do? They call it a German suplex. He wraps you from behind with a bear hug and flips you so that everything is in the air. He got your neck, on your neck, right?
Yeah. And actually, you just said it. Gymnos. It goes into nudity. So at the time when they were wrestling back in this time, they wrestled nude.
Yeah. That's why when you wrestle now, you know, unfortunately, I wrestled for a year.
I wrestled. Yep.
They give you a singlet, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's this tight uniform that you wear. It's a one piece for men. Very exposing. And it's tight.
Yeah.
So that you could just move however you need to move to grab whatever you need to grab.
Right.
It was terrible. So yeah, that is wrestling though, right? And the way it started, it like the stuff you see now on the mats in high school is nothing compared to what it used to look like with the Greeks.
Right.
I'm gonna just say that. So, yeah,
That's where it comes from.
that's where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, let me finish the verse.
yeah, we're gonna get back to that in a second. But just to give clarity, because we might have lost some people here, right? So, Second Maccabees, right? There's people like not just he's about to read it again, but there's people that were sent to make us believe certain things were cool for us to do, right? Compel us to feel cool with the things that society was doing, and that's basically what we're going to see here. Once enough of us were compelled to do that, it became a thing where they're just going to force the rest of us to do what everybody else fell in line with, right? So some of us were cool calling themselves Antiochians, right? So they weren't calling themselves Jews anymore. Once enough of them were doing this, okay, you're not allowed to call yourself Jews. Just call yourself Antiochians, right? Once Antiochus was gone, then it became Greeks, right? So by the time Yahushua on the scene, by the time Paul's on the scene, there's no difference between Jew and Greek because they're not allowed to call themselves one of the names, right? At this time. So now let's get the history on why that was. Go ahead.
This is the book of Second Maccabees. This is the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 1. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this.
So they're even teaching them about Greek gods and everything like that, right? Likening our temple to the temple of Jupiter and stuff like that. So there's different things that they're doing to try to make their culture appealing to our people, right? That's what you're supposed to notice here when you read these names. And just as you see now, right? Because there's no new thing under the sun. Once they made homosexuality in their marriages and stuff like that legal here, they started doing things to make it more appealing for certain people, right? And now we see it's all over the place. So it's the same thing that they did then. They'll put different things in the media, right? Because there was a form of media back then too, right? So they'll filter different things in the way that people are going to see it, in the way that it's easiest for them to accept it, and that's basically how they'll go about, changing the minds of the people. And America's good at that, right? Well, Esau is good at that, I should say, right? You had something?
Salaki, I just noticed something. I don't know why I noticed before. But it says in verse 2, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, right? Now this is the time of the Greeks, right?
Yeah.
So if you ever took history, when you took history in high school, you learned about the Greeks and the Romans, because it was at one point in time, it was the Greek Empire, then it was the Greco-Roman Empire, and then it became the
Roman Empire.
So I want to show you something here, people.
He's about to show you about Jupiter. I caught that.
Jupiter, it says Jupiter, but Jupiter is the god of the Romans. But it's calling Jupiter here during the Greek captivity. So what does that say about the Greeks and the Romans?
Well, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I myself always make the argument that the Greeks and the Romans are one nation. They're one people. They never really were different. They just changed their name 3 times, right? 4 if you count Idumea. So they're the same people, but via history, right? Like if you're talking to a nut like Tamario on Clubhouse, right? Tamario is going to tell you, no, brother, the Greeks and the Romans are different people, because in history, that's what it'll say, right? But they're really not. They're the same people. Their culture was the same. Their gods and their pantheon of gods were the same. They just changed the name of the gods.
Yep, that's it.
Right? And I would argue that the names changed not really because they changed, but because there was like a change in the language, so to speak, because of all the different heathen that they're bringing around them because of slavery. So in order for them to be able to communicate with all their slaves, they have to pick languages that most of the people would be able to communicate in.
Right.
So whatever language that they're moving to, right? I guess Greco-Roman would be the closest thing to be able to communicate with the, original people of the Greece, and that like the surrounding areas, Javan and the Minoans and all them other people, right? So in order to be able to communicate with them and us and their people and the Persians, you know what I'm saying, and all these other folks that they've got in captivity, right? Africans, because of Egypt now, like Tyree and Zidon are in captivity too. So you got to be able to come up with a language that's going to be able to be easily spoken by all of these people, right? That's how Aramaic became a thing. Because as language progressed, that became something that everybody was speaking, right? That's the reason why historically, people that don't really know the history of the Bible, they would tell you now that everybody was speaking Aramaic during the time of Jesus. That's not true. It's just a language that a lot of the people were able to speak. So it was a language that was documented a lot around that time period, because it was a language that was like English and Spanish in America, right? There's a lot of people that can speak Spanish and a lot of people that can speak English, but you'd probably be able to communicate with more people at this present time speaking English than you would Spanish, right? Doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. But as of right now, you're going to communicate more speaking English than you would Spanish. That's how it was. If we're putting things in perspective with like Greco-Roman and Aramaic or whatever, right? So that's what we got to understand from that time period. But now jump to verse.
We'll jump to verse 6. Yeah, this is
So
verse 6.
now we're going to explain how there actually became no difference between Jew and Greek, right? We just explained how the names changed and everything like that. But now let's get to why it was that there literally becomes no difference between Jew or Greek. Go ahead.
Come, this is the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So first it begins with them, bringing people to different places that were in captivity to within their, captive spaces within their nation, to compel us to be like the Greeks, right? They'll put gymnasiums in your city. They'll put a Starbucks, you know what I'm saying? They'll put a McDonald's. Like same thing they do now, right? To try to make it appealing to be a part of the world, right? So make you do things that don't want to make you keep the Sabbath, right? They put the gym right out there on the street, next to the Starbucks, next to the McDonald's, next to the Steak and Shake, next to the Longhorn Steakhouse, and they keep putting stuff out there. So when you get paid on Friday, you just want to go spend your money, right? That's how it was back then too. Same thing. So once it becomes more appealing, once you see, you trying to keep the law, but then one weekend you just go out there, see what's going on, and Knock is out there shopping. And you're like, oh, damn, there's Knock, right? Then you look across the street and Kano is coming out the store with his family too, with a bunch of bags. Like, oh, snap. There's Yakami too, right? So it's like, damn, like, all these brothers is just shopping on the Sabbath. I guess it's cool now, right? Next thing you know, you're doing it too. So now they see enough of them are doing it. Now they make a law. Okay, well, hey, y'all don't allowed to keep the Sabbath anyway. I mean, y'all ain't even doing it. So what's the point, right? So you might think that it was something that was affecting us, but it really wasn't, because a lot of our people were already not doing this stuff, right? When you go into the history of it. So it became more appealing not to do it, which is why more of our people went off. More of them stopped doing it. More of them lost the culture and the heritage behind it, because less and less of our people was doing it day by day, right? Just like now. There's brothers that come into the truth, they find out about it, and then they leave, right? And then after they leave, you'll see there's some people that they might have been cool with, right? That you knew they was always around. After a while, them brothers leave too. It's because they see, right, the people that they was around start doing different things and they follow the flock. Sometimes that's how it works. So, 2 Maccabees 6 and 6 is explaining the beginning of how once we started being taught to be like the Greeks, right? It became easier and easier after a while for them to just tell us, be Greek, right? So now you're not allowed to call yourself a Jew. Now you're not allowed to keep your feast days. Now you're not allowed to keep the Sabbath. You keep the things we give you, right? So now we have holidays, and then those get passed down from generation to generation. Now we're in America doing the same thing, right? So everything we have here, all the things that they pass down here, is just a rendition of the type of things that we were giving back then, right? But it's all the same. It's all the same concept. And the way that they gave it to us was the same. Feed it to them more and more and more until more and more of them are doing it to where now it's acceptable, right? It used to be a thing where,
I was gonna say, and so that they can make it a law. I was gonna read 8 and 9
Yeah,
that will clear it up.
yeah, yeah. So we'll get that in just a second. I just want to finish the statement. So, like with homosexuality, for example, right? Homosexuality before Brock was around was a bad thing. You wouldn't be able to talk about it. Couldn't be gay, none of that crap, right? Once he comes out there, it makes it legal. Okay, people still don't want to talk about it being cool, but people start changing their views automatically. Well, if people want to do what they do, then they're gonna do what they do. Who am I to judge, right? So then it becomes that, and then after a while, once more and more of them are doing it, now you might got a cousin that's on the down low that you found out about. You might got a, you know, ex-girlfriend or whatever that's gay now. You around people that's indulging in this type of stuff. So it almost would feel bad not to accept people that you know and that you've been cool with that are doing these things now. So once that happens to enough of the people, right, in society, they start changing their viewpoint. So now, a couple years later, the same people that would say, yeah, bro, you can't be gay, they're saying ain't nothing wrong with it. Same people, right? Just a couple years later, because of the way society has changed, the way society is opened up to it. Now all of a sudden they're opened up to it too, right? And it's not always because they feel like that's really what it is, but sometimes they feel like they have to be opened up to it because if not, they won't be accepted by society, right? That is the ploy that Esau has been able to use for a long time to get our people to do things that his people are cool with, right? The vile people of the earth, right? So there's certain things that our people naturally wouldn't rock with that now we're rocking with just because we're amongst those people, right? And once enough of us rock with it, they could make it a law, just like they did with homosexuality, right? So it's the same concept. That's why I brought that up. But go ahead and read the next two verses so they could get more clarity on it. You're on mute.
I got a little noise in the background. So this is Second Maccabees chapter. I'm going to start at verse 8. I'm going to do 8 and 9. Chapter 6, verse 8 and 9. Verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews, that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
So now it becomes a thing where, okay, now we got enough of y'all doing it. We're just going to make it a law, right? And if you guys that aren't keeping this law that we just made don't do it, you're going to die, which is going to do what? Compel more of them to keep it, right? Because you don't want to lose your life. So, and like I said, after this happens, now it's being passed down as a law. And then it's a generational thing. So now you're keeping it, you're teaching it to your family members like it's their culture and stuff like that, right? And that's what they end up passing down to their family members and so on and so forth. Now they're celebrating Christmas and Halloween and Thanksgiving and 4th of July and all that crap, right? Because they did the same thing, used the same tactics after we left this captivity here in America, right? The holidays aren't the same. The Greeks had different holidays than America had, right? But the concept of the holidays is the same. And the concept of why they want us celebrating their holidays as opposed to our own is the same, right? Because they know that if we came back to our stuff, it would cause us to wake up. It would cause them to lose their kingdom. So let's keep them under our control, doing the things that, our people are subject to doing. That way they stay away from their culture and we get to keep the kingdom. That's the whole goal, right? So main reason why we're teaching what we're teaching. But 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2, just to give some New Testament proof of what we just read in the Apocrypha, right? Because Paul kind of touches on this, how Paul is the prophet to the Gentiles, right? So he's supposed to be speaking to these people that were in these lands where they were no longer allowed to profess themselves to be a Jew. He's going to them, telling them it's okay to act like a Jew. It's okay to be you. In fact, you have to in order to get the salvation that you've been trying to do or trying to receive, right? Most hiding castaways people, you might think he did or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't. Even I'm a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin, right? So he's going around explaining them these different things, and he's professing himself to be a Jew, not only because that's what he is, but the main reason is because he's having to tell these people it's okay to be one, because they're in places where it's not okay to be one. You understand what I'm saying? That's the context here. Christians don't know this though, because a lot of them, if not any of them, don't read the Apocrypha, right? They don't have access to that book unless they're in the Christian church, the Catholic Church usually, and even then they don't have an understanding of it. So that's what it is. But the reason Paul says what he's about to say here in 1 Corinthians is because of that, right? He's touching on the point that there's Israelites in these places that he's being sent to, right? That know they're Israelites, but aren't allowed to act like them. So he's there to show them it's okay to act like an Israelite. You have to take back your heritage. That's what we're here for. Yahweh Shah just gave us grace to allow you guys to come back to the covenant, but you got to come back to the law, right? So that's what he's explaining. He's trying to do it in a way that they understand the faith part more than anything, because they already know about the laws of being a Jew, right? So read that. 1 Corinthians chapter 2.
This is the book of
12 and verse 2.
Count. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
So ye were Gentiles, right? He's explaining to them, yo, you were these people. You were people that, weren't allowed to call yourself Jew. You weren't allowed to keep your heritage. You weren't allowed to keep the feast day, right? You were carried into these dumb idols. You were forced to be subject to these things that these people wanted you to be subject to. Not keep the laws of your God, but keep the laws of their God and their culture and their history and stuff like that, right? So that's what Paul's explaining to them. You wouldn't understand it if you're just coming from the Christian church. You're like, what the hell is he talking about? Right? He's not talking to ethnic heathen, ethnic Gentiles here. If that was the case, there's no way that they were Gentiles. They'd still be Gentiles, right? You can't change your ethnicity, your nationality. He's talking to the people that were forced to call themselves Gentiles, right? That aren't allowed to call themselves Jews. The people that were forced to live as Gentiles, not allowed to live as Jews, right? He's trying to explain to them it's okay to live as an Israelite, right? It's okay to take back your heritage. You have to take it back because Yahweh Shah just gave you the option to come back into the covenant, to be grafted back in, right? I'm here to give you that good news. That was the good news that Paul was subject to bringing to the people he was supposed to be talking to, right? That they have a chance to come back, but there's certain things they have to do in order to do it. The first thing would be taking back their heritage, right? So there's no difference between Jew nor Greek. We all have one God, right? One Lord. That's what he's trying to explain to them, that you guys are just like me. I have to come back to the law in order to be saved, and y'all have to do the same thing because it's your law to come back to. That's what the whole point of it was, right? So ye were once Gentiles carried into these dumb idols, right? So give me Matthew chapter 4, verse 15, just to get some clarity on that, right? Just to prove that there were Gentiles, Israelites known as Gentiles during this time. You said what?
I got something for you. I'm glad you went there because I had that precept and I got something for you to aid that, because sometimes
that's fine.
Our people, we expect them to hear things, but sometimes just hearing just doesn't get it. And sometimes they need a visual. So
yeah,
while I pull this up, I got a visual.
Israel required the sign, right?
That's right. So let me pull that up real quick here while I get that also.
Oh, man.
And
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And y'all get these precepts. I got them in a specific order to try to make it easy to understand when you explaining to somebody, right? I'm going the long route with the explanations to make sure y'all fully understand it, but there's shorter ways to bring this out if you're just teaching somebody on the street. Bring these out and just explain.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share this because this is going to open up, hopefully open up your understanding. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 4. You want verse 15? That's it? Yeah.
I want read 15 to 20.
15 to 20, kind of. The book of Matthew, chapter 4, and verse 15. The land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
The people which sat in darkness saw great light. And to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up. From that time, Jesus began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets and followed him.
You see that? So, first thing I want to point out, right? Galilee of the Gentiles. There's the Sea of Galilee, right? Now, zoom out just a little bit. Where's Judah compared to the Sea of Galilee?
Right.
Huh? So we're a little bit north, right? Which would be considered where, like, the northern kingdom would be, right? So first thing we have to understand, right? Samaria,
Judah's down
Galilee,
here.
yeah. So like the Samaritans, the people that they were told not to deal with, right? Different Gentiles, so to speak. They're folks that weren't supposed to be dealt with at the time, according to Hosea. You could go back to the book of Hosea to read that, right? Because of their idol worship, quote unquote. You know what Paul said, them being carried unto dumb idols, right? That was something that happened to them as a nation. So not just the northern kingdom, though, it happened to specific people of the southern kingdom too. Here in this scripture, you see Galilee of the Gentiles. I'm of the persuasion that it's a couple of northern kingdom brothers here, but there's also southern kingdom brothers there, right? But these people are within the confines of, mentally, right? They're living as Gentiles. That's what the deal is, right? And they're still within the confines of Judea, so to speak, right? They're in Galilee, right? So they're still within the land of the Israelites, but their persuasion is an Israelite, right? The way that they think isn't such. So that's the reason why it's important to bring that out. They're still being called Gentiles, even though they're Israelites living in Israel, right? So, yeah.
And to be honest, it's showing the scripture. It says, let me go back to it. I'm sorry. The land of Zebulun and land of Naphtali by the way of the sea, right? So we see Galilee, Sea of Galilee, beyond the River Jordan,
Right.
which is going to
There's
the
the
west.
River Jordan right by Gad.
River Jordan's right here. And it goes all the way up to the Sea of Galilee. And you see that the harbor here of Naphtali and Zebulun, right together. These were actually called Gentiles.
Crazy, right? So, and like I said, they're within their land lots in Israel, still being called Gentiles. It's not because they just were Gentiles. They're Israelites still, but they're living as Gentiles, right?
That's right. That's right.
They're not keeping the law in their own land, right?
That's right.
So they're Gentiles. They're strangers to the covenant, right? That's why Peter called them strangers. Now we're getting a little bit more understanding on that, right? But also, something else that you have to understand, the reason these people were comfortable not keeping the law in their own land is because a couple centuries before that, during the time of the Maccabees, right? As we read in the book of Maccabees, they were told they can't call themselves the tribe of Naphtali. They can't call themselves Zebulun, right? They got to be Gentiles, Greeks, Romans, whatever it is, right? Antiochians, because there were different names that the Bible told you that we were called during these times, right? We're Greeks by the time Jesus and them get on the scene. But before that, we were Antiochians and Greeks. Right? Antiochians and what's the other dude? Alexandrians, right? So that's how that works. But reading on, moving on. Let's just get this right quick. So Acts chapter 5, just to bring some clarity to that, right? Because Yahushua was somebody that was made a savior to the Israelites, right? Even the ones of Naphtali and Zebulun, the Gentiles, right? So I want to bring that out too, because, well, that salvation was only given to the Israelites. So Acts chapter 5 and 30, it started 29. Unmute.
Hold on one second.
Okay, got you. All right. I will read it. Acts chapter 5 and 31. Hold up. Acts chapter 5, verse 30. We'll start at 29. It says, Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. The God of our fathers raised up Yahushua, who they call Jesus, whom ye slew and hanged on a tree. Him hath God exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins, right? So that's basically where we're at. These are the Israelites that were given that opportunity, right, to be given that grace, and they're the ones that basically are the only people that was bestowed to, right, to be able to get that opportunity. So it's to forgive their sins, right? Mainly the sins of the people that we saw, Zebulon and Naphtali and them, right, that are going off, but also other people, right, from the southern kingdom and stuff like that, that weren't doing their job. So it's a full grafting in, basically, if you will, of the whole 12 tribes and the things that we have fallen short from when it comes to the law. So, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? That's basically what I want to bring out there as regarding Acts. But getting back to it, I had some precepts just basically explaining the Gentiles. Was there something else you wanted to bring out on that?
Yeah, because even though we've talked about what happened during the Greek captivity, but I think a lot of things that Christians misconstrue to our people is when you say the word Gentile, that we're also speaking, that we need to know what the word Gentile also means, right? It means nation, right? Mm-hmm. It means nation. So we can find scriptures in the Bible that actually show that it says nation. And I believe the scripture before, which was Matthew 4:15, we find that in Isaiah, right? We go to Isaiah 9, right, real quick. Let me go to Isaiah. It's like I got family in town, so it's kind of loud. Isaiah 9 and 1, I want to say that's where it is. I want to show something here. It says, now check this out, family. I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. It says, Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, in Galilee of the nations. Of the nations. So if we were to go and look up this word Gentile, like in the blue letter, it would say, what would it say, Captain?
I'm sorry, say it again.
The word Gentile, what would it say if we were to go to Blue Letter Bible?
Depends on the context in which, I don't know what it would say right there for that particular scripture. You have to look at it, but it's either going to say ethnos or Hellene or something like that,
or goy. And we know that goy can represent either someone of another nation outside of Israel, or actually someone that is of Israel. Also, we find that in the same definition for goy. So I just want to show that, in this actual Isaiah 9 is where we find Matthew, is the prophecy of Matthew 4:15. But I just wanted to show, because I hear a lot of times Christians will say Gentiles, and they say, well, that's the other people, not realizing that, of course, we were called Gentiles, and that the word Gentile just means nation, which means that any nation can be a Gentile, because that's what Gentile is. It's a nation. So, yeah.
All right. So any nation can be a Gentile, that's facts, but any nation can't be the Gentiles that were being saved, right? God. That was specifically for us. So that's what we're bringing out today. Give me Isaiah chapter 11. Start at verse 10. Because there's going to be a bunch of Gentiles, right? People saved amongst the Gentiles that are going to be saved once the Yahushua comes back. And even those people, right, are going to be a specific, of a specific stock. It's not going to be just a Gentile, right? It's not going to be just some random white guy from France that gets scooped up, right, to be taken back to Israel, to be given a crown and put on his head, right? And the rod of iron and everything. Like, it's not going to happen like that. It's got to be an ethnic Israelite thing, right? For you to be one of those quote unquote Gentiles that get accepted back into the covenant. That's how this thing works. Go ahead, Knock.
God, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people.
Mhm.
To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
You see that? Read the next verse.
Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which
So
shall
this
be.
remnant of the people, of his people, right? They're being called Gentiles,
That's right.
right? These people that Yahushua has to save the second time, because the first time he already came and got some people from the land of the north, right? The people, the remnant that's going to be saved the second time are being called Gentiles because they're scattered through four corners of the earth, right? They're not necessarily going to be people that grew up living as Israelites, right? They probably ain't even watched a YouTube video yet. But they're going to be picked up and they're going to be saved as the remnant of Israel, right? Though they've been living in Gentile ways, right? There's going to be a sect of them that come back to the law and that they're going to be able to, be redeemed. They get grafted back into the covenant again because they came back to it. That's how it works, right? So that's the promise that all of us was given, right? That's the grace. That's what we were reading in Acts chapter 5 a second ago, right? The reason we all have the option to be grafted back into the covenant is because we were given that option, right? Now it's up to you to partake in that or not, right? So that's the deal. And once the number of us that are supposed to partake in that start to do it, we're going to get picked up. And it's going to be, two trains, so to speak, right? If you want to call it that, just to give an analogy everybody would understand, right? The first one's going to leave in an hour. The hour Yahushua comes back. And the second one is going to leave after that, right? Going to get just swooped up. So that's how it works. What else do I want to get on this? Yeah, we can get that. All right, so Matthew chapter 12, just to give a little bit more clarity on Isaiah. Matthew chapter 12, verse 17. Unmute yourself.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 12, and verse 17. That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Behold, my servant, whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm. See that? So he's showing judgment to the Gentiles, right? But also in a positive light, right? Go ahead, keep reading. Read the verse 21.
Verse 19. He shall not strive nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment unto victory.
Mm-hmm.
And in his name shall the Gentiles trust.
Yeah, man. So all the stuff that he's talking about, he's destroying people and stuff like that, right? Doing things to, I guess, put certain people in fear, but there's going to be a sect of Gentiles that trust in him, right? Why is this? Because he's coming to save those people, right? That's the remnant that we're talking about. They're trusting in him, even though he's being destructive to certain Gentiles, right? The ones he's coming to save, they're the ones that they're not going to get touched, right? They're actually Israelites. They're the ones who there's no difference between Jew nor Greek. That's the reason he's not touching them.
That's right.
They're his people, right? They're not ethnic Gentiles. They're Hellenized Israelites, right? That's the difference. So, that's it on that.
Did you want to get that where Paul spoke of the Jew? There's neither Jew nor Gentile, or did you want to leave that one alone?
Yeah, we're not gonna get on that because we did a lesson on it, so I don't want to make it about that. Let's get Mark chapter 16, verse 15, right?
All right.
And I was gonna bring this out earlier before we get past it. Let me go ahead and do that. So there's an article you guys could read. I bring this out a lot when we talk about the Gentiles. So today's not going to be no different. This is called the unfortunate word Gentile, right? It explains some things on the word and how it's used and how it's been mistranslated on purpose, so that when you look it up in things like the Strongs or the Blue Letter Bible, if you don't have a full understanding of what the Bible is talking about already,
right,
just looking up the word Gentile is going to confuse you, right?
Yep.
And they did it like that. The people who translated the Bible did it like that on purpose. So just to read a little bit of it, says the Hebrew and Greek words, which are sometimes translated as Gentile, have both pagan and Israelite connotations, meaning they can refer to pagans like heathens, goyim, right? Or they can refer to Israelites. Knock mute right quick. The idea that the word refers only to non-Israel people comes from the translators who took their lead from the Latin Vulgate, right? So we all know who controlled the Latin Vulgate and what their uh um goal was, right? When it came to making people understand certain things about the scriptures. This is the Catholic Church and stuff like that. So they weren't exactly trying to make it all about the Israelites, right? Catholic means universal. So they're trying to make something fit so that it can be acceptable to all people, so that they would be able to widen their range of people who could put money in their pockets, right? That's what the Catholic and Christian church is there for, to put money in their pockets. So, of course, their doctrine has to be acceptable for all nations of people that they could accept money from, right? Which is anybody. So that's the reason, one of the main reasons why they mistranslated the word the way they did. But this article explains it a little bit. So their interpretation of Gentile was one who was not of Rome. What the word Gentile has come to mean is not the original meaning, and therefore not the true meaning. So, yeah, the word Gentile used to have basically two main connotations if we think of it biblically, right? There was the ethnic Gentile, ethnos, right? And then there was like the Gentile that, once the word Hellene came on the scene, that would be the connotation of the Israelite, right? Somebody that was Hellenized. In like Hellenization is what they call it when referencing the Greeks, right? And the Romans and the Greco-Roman captivity. But there was a form of Hellenization that happened in every single captivity that the Israelites were in. That's something else that a lot of people don't acknowledge, right? When we were around the Persians and the Medes, we were trying to be like the Persians and the Medes. When we were in captivity to the Africans, we were trying to be Africans, right? Which a lot of you see right now, because they're the last captivity before the one we're in now. So people that can trace their roots back to the things we were doing back in Africa, now they're gravitating back to that, right? Which is no different. They're just latching back onto the things that we latched ourselves onto when we were in captivity to those people, right? If we were able to go further back in time, you'd see more people trying to be like Persians and Medes, doing whatever the hell we was doing back then, right? You'd see people doing exactly what we was doing in Egypt, which I would say you probably see that now too, because it's a spiritual Egypt. So a lot of those things are happening again, right? But we're in situations where we're accepting certain things that we did in captivities, which in the captivities, it didn't seem like it was wrong to do, which is why being a Gentile in the way that they have mistranslated this word makes it even more confusing to people that don't understand the Bible. So it says there are conflicts within the common belief about Jews and Gentiles. The common teaching is that Jews are Israel and Gentiles are everyone else, right? As we just said, that's not exactly true. Part of this obviously is not valid because the words transliterated as Gentiles in both Hebrew and Greek also use they're also used for Israel. We can discover that Jews cannot equate to all Israel and that some Gentiles may be Israelites, right? In scripture. Because and what he means by that is Jews only means southern kingdom, right? So it's automatically not talking about 10 of the tribes. So you're excluding more than half of the Israelites when you just mentioned the word Jew, right? And that Gentile would actually refer to the people who aren't considered the Jews because they were the first people of the Israelite nation to go completely off from the law, statutes, commandments, and heritage of the Israelites, right? As once again we see in the book of Hosea, where the Jews were told not to deal with the northern kingdom because of their idol worship and the way that they went on. So reading on, says because the traditional teaching is so ingrained in communities, in commentaries, concordances like the Blue Letter Bible and the Strong's Concordance, right? Bible dictionaries like the Zondervan, when you read that, it doesn't tell you the complete truth about the word Gentile. It won't mention Hellene unless you go look up the word Hellene. So when you look up Gentile in the Zondervan, it doesn't explain to you that there's a Hellenized, Gentile and that there's Israelite Gentiles. It just tells you heathen nation, right? nations not Israel, something like that. But it won't give you the full gist of it until you have knowledge of what a Hellene is, right? Or Hellenization, so that you can go and do research on that word, and then you'd end up finding a little bit more, right? Still ain't gonna tell you everything.
Right.
Yes, I'm not.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, but that's basically that, right? So we see that, yeah, it doesn't really equate to every single Israelite in Scripture, right? So it says because the traditional teaching is so ingrained in commentaries, concordance, Bible dictionaries, books, and in people's minds, it's very hard for anyone brought up with the traditional Christian belief to shake it up, right? The purpose of this article is to make the examination of the both word Jews and Gentiles as used in Scripture, right? So then he gives a couple of examples and all of that stuff. So I think it's a pretty good article. I'm not gonna go over the whole thing, but I advise y'all to look it up. It's pretty good, pretty dope, right? He's got the strong things in there, the goy and ethnos, like Knock was just talking about a second ago, to give you guys some understanding on that. You know what I'm saying? Gives you some quotes from Thayer and Vine. Goes through Hebrew, shows you how it means. It's 374 times mean nations, 143 times means heathen, 30 times as Gentiles, 11 times as people, right? You know what I'm saying? And in the Greek, you got that. So then he's going to go into how, it equates to the Israelites. And he's going to give you examples on that. The whole rest of it. So I advise y'all go look at that, because there's a lot of good information in here, right? So, go ahead,
is this on a website?
Yep, this is hopeofisrael.org.
Hopeofisrael.org.
How about that? hopeofisrael.org/unfortunateword.html. If you just look up the unfortunate word Gentile and type in article, it'll pop up. I promise.
Hopeofisrael.org. I'm gonna put that in the chat for those.
Here, we'll do it like this. Unfortunate word Gentile article. This is how I found it. This is what it's gonna look like, just so y'all can see it. It's a good article. Explains to you some things that it would take me like I could literally do a lesson just on this article by itself, right? So, hold on, I need to do that. All right, bro. So this is, if you were to type this in, unfortunate word Gentile article in the Google engine, this is what it's going to say. It's going to say Hope of Israel Ministry. This is going to be that, right?
Okay, I see that.
You'll see some BS articles, but this is the one that you're looking for right here. If anybody needs it, just hit me up. I will send you the link. Y'all can get at me on just hit me on Instagram. I'm Shar Eliel. And if you need it and you can't find it, I'll send you the link. All right. So so yeah, Mark 16 and 15. We didn't get that yet, right? Let's read that.
All right, this is the book of Mark, chapter 16 and verse 15. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned.
See that? So go into every nation, teach to every creature. What does he say that for, brother, if he doesn't want you to teach the other people? Right. Well, Acts 2 and 5.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
Because, like I said, the Bible explains everything, but there's reasons and steps that we have to go through to give people the full understanding, right? Yeah, Mark told us to go into all nations. Well, Mark told us what Yahushua told us, which was to go into all nations. But why would you do that, right? Well, we started the lesson by explaining to y'all that Moses told us one of the curses that would befall the Israelites is that they would be scattered to the four corners of the earth and be forced to serve other gods, even wood and stone, right? Kabbalah and Christianity. So That's basically what it is. So in order for us to get our people out of Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Ifa, and all the other crap that we do, right? We have to go into all nations and teach all of the people. Because what's something else that we were taught, right? With brothers like Cornelius in the last lesson that we did, in the Ethiopian eunuch. You
Right.
never know who's an Israelite. You can't call any man unclean. So therefore, you have to teach everybody, right? Because you don't know. It could be a guy that looked like Blake Griffin and he's walking around with his son. He married a white woman and the kid looked white. So you're looking at the dad and you look at the kid and you're like, yeah, they're Edomites. But he comes over and he seems real interested in the word and he hasn't left yet. And y'all been talking for an hour and 30 minutes to somebody else. He's just standing in the cut with his kid holding his hand, listening the whole damn time. Chances are he probably ain't left yet because his spirit is feeling it. You might need to ask that man what his nationality is, right? Because you can't call any man unclean. Looks can be deceiving. So, you know, you got to teach everybody. But it wasn't saying literally teach everybody. It's teach the people that are Israelites. You don't know who's who. That's what you're out there to do. Teach Israel. Bring them back to the covenant. Bid them back to the marriage, right? The thing is, because Israel's gone off, right? We're a speckled bird. We don't all look the same anymore, right? We have had situations where our cultures are different. We don't all act the same. We don't all think the same. We don't all speak the same. So some of us might not have a full connection with the rest of the community, right? Doesn't mean they're not Israelites anymore. So you still have to find a way to wake that person up. Got to find a way to associate yourself or find something that you have in common with that brother or sister to make the word more personable to them, make it more accepting to them, right? Those are the type of things we're supposed to be grooming ourselves in as teachers of the word, right? To bid our people back to the marriage that they left. So, you know, that's what they were being commanded to do when they were taught to go into all the nations. We're about to prove that. Acts chapter 2 and verse 5.
It's the book of Acts, chapter 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
See that? Not Christians under every nation under heaven. You know, not people that believe in Jesus under every nation under heaven that can be saved. Oh, hallelujah, Jesus. Praise the Lord, right? No. Jews, devout Jews, meaning Jews that keep the law, Jews that have the commandments first in their brains, right? They're the ones that were what? What it say? Not?
God, it says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven.
So they were from every nation on the planet Earth, right? Everywhere, four corners. That's the people that were scattered, right? And ironically, they're the ones we're talking about here. It's not everybody because they're the ones in all the nations. It's their people, their relatives, their ancestors, their people that they're associated with, right? That we're trying to wake up. It's them, right? So, or their descendants, rather, not ancestors.
Yeah, praise that.
Go ahead, read that.
It's the book of John, chapter 7 and 35. This is something that the disciples asked about Christ, right? It says, then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go into the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles?
Yep. Will he go amongst the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? What did they say after that?
God. So what manner of saying is this that he said? Ye shall seek me and ye shall not find me, and where I am, thither ye cannot come.
See that? So, like, is he going to teach the Gentiles? And then they're like, yo, he's saying we can't even go where he's going, right? So we got to understand, Yahushua wasn't talking to regular people there. Who's he talking to? Who are the people that's asking the questions?
Oh, Jews.
They're not regular Gentiles, right?
Right.
So it's like the same type of conversation that he had with Nicodemus, right?
God.
The Christian church tries to make that conversation a thing about everybody because of the doctrine that they have. But even the conversation he had in John 3:16 wasn't about, like, it wasn't a conversation to the world the way that they like you to believe it, right? It was a conversation with a Jew about Jews, which they referred to as the world, because only the Jews matter, right? They're called the world in the Bible because in the Bible only the Jews matter. They're the world, right? Michael said it best. We are the world. We are the children, the chosen ones, right? That's who we are. The Most High made the earth to be a better place for you and me, right? The Black, Hispanic, and Native American, and the people that descend from us scattered abroad. Everybody else, we don't give a damn about. That's it.
Man, there's a precept on the tip of my tongue that just goes right with what you said. I have to think of it later.
All right. But I wanted to comment on this right quick. Sister L said she just had a conversation with a pastor that said something about this, right? He said all Israel is black. Tell your pastor all pastors are whack in the Christian church, because all Israel is not black. That doesn't even make sense, right? It just doesn't. We mixed with too many people, right? We disobeyed too many of the Most High's laws for us to be black. Just that. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make no sense. Like I said, there's Blake Griffin, right? Blake Griffin has a son who doesn't look anything like black at all. You feel me? Nothing like black. So, but he would be an Israelite, right? So that's like things like that we got to understand. It's a lot of that happens, a lot of that going around, and those people still got to be considered Israel, right? So, yeah, tell your pastor Eliel said he's a duck monkey and that he should come on Milk Monday and talk to us about that. So, give me Romans chapter 8, verse 27. There it is. Look at it. Look at Blake, right? If you saw Blake walking down the street with his red hair, his blonde wife, and little Jimmy, you can be like, damn, this is a family of Edomites, right? But like I said, it's been situations where you can watch a camp video. You'll see a dude look like him and the son look like that on the video, and they watching. They in the back, attentively listening, right? It's not always because the Edomite is trying to figure out what's going on. That might not be an Edomite. It might be an Israelite, right? His daddy might not be white. He might be black. He just might have took more after his mama, right? And then had the same type of taste as his dad and got with another pasty woman. It happens, right? So instead of the children looking like what you would think Israelites would look like, right, back in the day, we end up looking more and more different. And it happens more and more every day. So it's no way on earth that anybody could say, oh, Israelites are black. I honestly would argue that it never was like that, because we've been having sex with Edomites forever. If an Edomite could do this, why would you think that we always look black? Right? That's just two Edomites in the bloodstream there. That's Blake's mama and Blake's wife made Blake kid look like, Julius Caesar's son. So,
and that's Blake's father right there.
Yeah, that's Blake dad. Look at it, right? He looks like, damn,
Tommy Griffin.
Like that's a damn actor. I can't think his name.
Don't say Danny Glover, man. Come on, don't say that.
No, I wasn't gonna say Danny Glover.
Oh, okay.
It's another dude he looked like. But anyway, that's his dad, right? He married a white woman with red hair. His son is, light skinned with red hair. And then his son married a blonde woman, and his son is white with blonde hair, right? But genetically, this is the forefather, right? So they would be Israelites. Unless, of course, he somehow goes back to a white man. But just off his look, ain't no way you would get that, right? So there's no way to prove it. You can't call any man unclean. If you saw him walk down the street, you're going to teach him. If he's walking with Blake and his grandson, you probably going to teach him, and you're not going to teach Blake and the grandson, but they're all the same stock. right?
Salaki, if I'm not mistaken, I believe his father is Haitian too.
Yeah, he'd be Levi.
Huh.
Yes, he would, most definitely. And he's got the last name Griffin, right? Which I told you guys about that last name when we did the Boule lesson, right? That's a lesson that goes back. I mean, that's the last name that goes back to Edomite slave masters from the Middle East. That's what the Queen of England's real last name goes back to. So, but anyway, give me. Did you get Romans chapter 8? Did you pull that?
I can get it right now.
Give me that real quick. Romans chapter 8, verse 27. Because something else to understand. Paul explained to us that the promises and everything, right? Aside from Romans 9, we know about Romans 9 and what that says. A lot of Israelites bring that up. But the chapter before that, Romans 8, before he gets to Romans 9, it explains to us that the people that Yahushua is working with are people that he foreknew, right? And it's important. The reason I like to bring this out from Paul is because Paul is the guy that Christians think isn't going to talk to nobody that God foreknew, because he only foreknew the Israelites, right? In their mind, Paul is only supposed to talk to people that God has no, like, he ain't never had nothing to deal with, right? He never had nothing to do with these people. He's just allowing them to be partakers of the covenant because the Jews killed Christ. That's what they teach in the church, right? That's exactly what I learned when I was younger. The Jews killed Christ, so now we get to partake in it. Oh, okay, cool. Like, that's how it is, right? Oh, all right, bet. It didn't really work like that, right? We know that the Romans were the ones that pierced it, right? We basically did a sacrificial ritual. The elders lay hands on the lamb before you sacrifice. That's what you're supposed to do, right? That's in the law. That's what they did. When they gave him up, right, quote unquote, gave up Yahushua, the elders laid hands on him, which means that they were just signaling that it was okay to partake in the sacrifice and allow that to go down, right? It was the Romans that actually hung him up and killed him. So that was false history being taught so that they would have an excuse as to why God just changed up and it's like decided to accept them as the people instead of the Israelites, which he chose from the beginning, right? So Romans 9 kind of cuts that whole understanding from their favorite prophet himself, explaining that everything Paul talks about is for the people that God had a relationship for time. So bring that out. Shalom, sis.
God, this is the book of Romans, chapter 8. You want me to start at 27 or you want me to start at 28?
27.
27. Romans chapter 8, verse 27. And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit. Because
so he that searcheth the hearts is Yahushua, right? He's the mediator.
Right.
Most Christians know that. They accept that. They made him God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son at the same time. So I don't think it would be hard for them to understand that he's mediator too, right? Go ahead.
Because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God.
Who are the saints, Knock?
We are.
That's right.
The Israelites.
Nah, forget the Israelites. I'm talking about us, brother.
The house of saints, of course. Yeah.
I'm playing.
No doubt.
So, but yeah, the Israelites are the saints, right? You can read that in Psalm 148, last chapter, last verse.
And Psalms 50.
148, 4. I don't remember what
14.
Verse is, but is it 14?
I believe it's 14.
I thought that was right. So yeah, but 148, right? Psalm 148, you can read that. Then what else you said?
Psalms 50.
Psalm 52, right? Correct. So
I think it's Psalms 50 and 5, I think.
yeah. So that's who the saints are, right? Go ahead, keep reading. Read the verse 30.
God. And we know, verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, who are the called according to his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren.
You see that? So everything that's being done, the people that are being chosen to wake up, the people that are being chosen to teach, right? All of this is predestined for one. So it's not something that a Christian could teach away from somebody, or it's not something you could really teach to somebody, right? We're really merely just the people that the spirit and that the Most High is using to push the word out there. And the people who have that Holy Spirit, it's going to bring things back to their remembrance, and they're going to come back to the law. People without it, it's just going to go in one ear and out the other. They're going to say, yeah, all right, that's cool. Yeah, yeah, I'm an Israelite, right? Yeah, 12 tribes of Judah. Yeah, yeah. And then they're going to walk away. You're never going to see them again, right? Or you might see him again on the belt line or something, but when you see him, instead of them coming up to you next time to listen, they just going, yeah. Right? Because they ain't really give a damn. So that's the situations we're in. But the ones that were meant to get it, right? They wake up. That's what we're out there for. So as you see, it's predestined for the people that he foreknew. That's what this is for. And that would be the Israelites, right? That's the reason why in Romans 11, right? A couple chapters after this, Paul explains at the end of his uh explanation of the grafting in, once we get to verse 23, Romans 11 and 23, he explains that those people would be grafted back in again. We don't got to read it for the second time, but that's what that is, right? In order to get a full understanding of Romans 11 and the grafting in and who gets it and who's subject to it, right? You have to understand the end of it, because those people that get grafted in are being grafted into the covenant again, meaning they were the people that the Most High foreknew, right? They had knowledge aforetime of the covenant. That's why they get brought back into the covenant again. It's their covenant, right? They're being given their heritage back, right? So that's what it is.
Verse
It's not
30.
for everybody. You said what? You got a preset?
I said what you were saying, verse 30.
Oh yeah, that was next. Go ahead.
Yep. Verse 30. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified.
So, Shalom, Officer Kadar, and Soldier Antonio. But man, that's what it is, right? So everything that you see is predestined. It's something that has to happen, right? If you've been woke up, it was something that you were supposed to do, right? It was already written in the book that you was gonna wake up. If you woke up and went back, it was already written in the book that you were gonna wake up and go back to your vomit, right? Whatever it is. If you wake up a bunch of people and never get your stuff together, right? It was already predestined that you're gonna be the, brother that teacheth many, but is unprofitable to himself, right? All of these things are already predestined. You just live in the story, right? So that's what it is. Ain't nothing you can do to change it, right? It's like an Edomite can't change his nationality. You can't be accepted into the covenant. It is what it is. A Moabite will never get in, unless it's to wash the toilets, right? Because they the wash pot of the Most High. That it is what it is.
It
right?
is what it is.
So, I was gonna get Romans 11, but we're not gonna read it. I just gave you an understanding, so y'all can read Romans 11, chapter 1 to verse 23, and understand that by the time it gets to 23, the reason it says grafted in again is because it's for the people that share no difference, being Jews or Greeks. It's one people, right? The people known as Greeks are being grafted back in with the Jews, right? The Jews that aren't keeping the law are being grafted back in with the other Israelites, right? And they're all being made that tree that the Most High gave to the earth, right? To be able to live in the laws that he gave for our good, right? So, that's what that is, man. Give me Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 22. Man, should we go over Romans 11? All right, you know what? Hold Ezekiel. Let's just do Romans 11 right quick. I feel like it's important for this lesson. So we just gonna I'm gonna touch a couple scriptures in it. A couple scriptures.
Where do you want me to start? You want me to start at 13, or you want me to start down sooner?
Start at 1 and then jump to like. Let me see. Just start at 1 right now.
Start at 1 kind. It's the book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God hath not cast away his people which he foreknew. What ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying.
Wait, hold on. Skip to verse 7.
Come on, verse 7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
So pause there, right? What we just read about the predestination, right? So Israel as a whole didn't obtain what they seek it for, right? What did they seek? Well, Israel was given, promises, right? At the beginning, with Moses, we were given the blessings and the curses of Deuteronomy 28, right? The blessings were given first. Blessings were the things we were supposed to be obtaining. That's what we were supposed to be given if we, stayed within the law. We stayed within the heritage and the culture that the Most High gave us, right? We were going to be the nation above all people on the planet Earth and have all the things that come with that, right? Similar to the things you see the Jewish people get today, right? You get reparations from all the countries. You're known as the rich people on the planet. Nobody get to mess with you. If it's something that somebody does to you that you don't like, you get to make a law that, stops everybody and their mama from doing it. Like things like that, right? There's a certain respect with being known as that nation on the planet that's above all people, right? Even for the folks that stole it and everybody knows it was stolen, right? They still get to exhibit a certain level of respect that everybody has to give them on the earth, right? Because of the position that they've taken at this point. So for the people that authentically hold that position, how much power do you think they're actually going to have when they get back in that spot, right? So it says that Israel hasn't obtained it, but the election has, because they were predestined. The people predestined to get it are already getting it, right? They're already like it's already in the book that's what they're going to get. They're going to wake up to the law. They're going to be the ones that come back to their heritage, teach it to other people, and eventually take the kingdom back, right? Go ahead, Knock.
Yeah, I was going to add to what you're saying about the election, because the Christianity would have you believe they will use that replacement theology and say that the election or the elect is representative of now today's Christian church, those who believe in Jesus and call on Jesus' name. But we find in the Old Testament who the elect are. So I'm going to go there real quick just so we can have that understanding. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and 4. And it reads, for Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect. I have even
Christianity, mine elect.
No, it says, and Israel, mine elect.
In Joel Osteen's church, mine elect.
And Israel, mine elect. I have even called thee by thy name. I have
Joel
surnamed
Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. What name you talking about? That's the names, right? Those are the pastors. What you talking about?
Right. I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me.
Okay. Right. So yeah,
Israel.
TD got the last name Jakes, but don't know nothing about the Most High. See?
Don't know nothing about it.
It's amazing. But so Romans 11, right? Verse 7 explains to you that the election have obtained it. The rest of Israel hasn't. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. According as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day.
See that? So the people that aren't meant to get it, you can teach them all you want, right? Their prayers are going to be an abomination. You can tell them that, right? It don't matter. They're going to keep turning the shoulder because they don't give a damn, right? They don't care about their characters. They don't care about their culture. But it's not really their fault. The Most High He's not a respecter of persons, and for some reason or another, he's blinded those people, right? So that's what it is. They have eyes that they can't see and ears that they can't hear to this very day. That's why they're not worried about it, right? So it doesn't matter what level of passion that you give to them when you're giving the scriptures. Don't matter how relatable you make it. They're not gonna really relate to what you're saying, right? They're not gonna see any importance to coming back to the law and not living the way that they currently live right now because they're being blinded to the facts of why that's important, right? So, what else? Yeah, let their eyes be okay. Verse 12. Jump to 12.
Verse 12. Now, if the fall of them be the riches of the world, and the diminishing of them the riches of the Gentiles, how much more their fullness?
All
For
right. So look, there's two ways you can look at this. If the Jews fall, right, it gives an option for a couple of things to happen, right? We got to think about this. We mentioned Hosea earlier because the Jews, right, Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, they were told not to mess with the Northern Kingdom anymore, right? The Israelites, right? That's because the Jews were supposed to be the ones keeping the law. They were the ones that kept the faith, right? They got Levi around them, like, you know what I'm saying? They're doing their thing, right? Once they go off, now you've opened the door for, okay, well, all the Israelites went off. So if I let one back in, I got to let all of them back in, right? That's what happened. So the Most High didn't make one group better than the other. He made us all fall together, right? So now if the fall of them be the riches of the world, right? Everybody fell. So now what happens? Oh, well, the world, Israel, gets its riches back, right? Another way you can look at that is the actual, the way they want you to think of the world now, the earth, right? As we fell together, once we fell, the rest of the planet kind of became rich because they got to put us in captivity and have us build up their kingdoms for them, right? So there's two ways I like to teach that scripture, right? Then we have the diminishing of the riches, or they're diminishing the riches of the Gentiles, right? Like I said, if you're looking at the Jews, the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom became rich because now they have the opportunity to get grace bestowed upon them to be grafted back into the covenant again, right? That's a good situation. But it couldn't have happened without the fall of the southern kingdom, too. If the southern kingdom wouldn't have failed, it would have just been them doing the thing, right? Just like if Moses would have been who Moses was, and the Most High felt like it, he told Moses, I could just kill all these niggas and just start a whole new nation with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? He don't need all of us. But he's allowing us to come back because we all ended up falling. That's the riches, right? But on the flip side, the ethnic Gentiles, once we fell as a people, right? They all got to come up. There's Gentiles now that get to trot in Israel until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. They get to pretend to be us. There's a people that are actual Gentiles, real goyim, that get to walk by the belt line and scream at you and call you damn Gentile because they're known as the people that have your nationality right now, right? There's a nation of those same people in the Bible, the book that everybody's supposed to read, that the Christian church believes in, the Catholic church believes in, the Muslims believe in, the Buddhists believe in, right? And it tells you there's a nation that say they are Jews and are not. And nobody gives a damn. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like those things happen because as we fail, the other nations got to get things and got powers that they weren't subject to and weren't used to having before, right? As we see, the head is now the tail and the tail is not the head in every aspect, no matter what the nation is. If you're an Israelite, you at the bottom. Your people, or you might be at the top, but your people as a whole, we're at the bottom, right? And even if you at what you think is the top, you're not as high as you should be ever, right? Jay-Z don't have as much money as he should have. He should have more. Rihanna, she should be higher on the big Oprah, even Diddy, right? All these brothers and sisters should have more money than what they have. They all have stories of how they've gotten duped and this, that, and the third, right? By different, Jewish people, different white people, right? Asians, whatever it is, right? they've all had situations where they're not even, though they're looked at as the top in our society, they're not as high as they could be or should be, right? So, yeah. Then it says, how much more be their fullness, right? Because though we all fail, now we all get to come up together. Now we're in a situation where we get to take the kingdom and not fall again. So how much more is this going to make us better, right? That we all fail. It might look like a bad thing, but it's going to turn out great for us on the long run, right? Because now it's not going to be none of us hating each other because we all get to come back, be grafted back in, Northern and Southern Kingdom, right? We get to take the kingdom together, we get to fight together, and we get to rule together. That's great, right? So read on. Watch this. This is crazy right here.
God. Verse
13.
God, the water. Verse 13. For I speak to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine office.
So now Paul is telling the Jews that he's talking to that they're Gentiles. Didn't he just say he an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin? What's the point of mentioning that if he ain't talking to Israelites?
Right.
What's the point of mentioning what we just brought up in verse 12 about the fall of the Israelites and stuff like that? If he's talking to regular Gentile, what the hell they give a damn about that? Right? So he's explaining to them now, the Gentiles I'm talking about is y'all. And I talk to you Gentiles in as much as I am an apostle to the Gentiles. I magnify my office.
Yeah.
So now you guys know why I'm here. I'm here to bring you guys back. Right? The way he's speaking, they understand that. Right? They're probably looking at him attentively like, oh, damn, for real? What the hell this nigga talking about? Right. To bring us back. I don't want to go back. I'm about to go to the gym as soon as we finish talking to you, dude. What are you talking about? Right? That's the way that our people are thinking. But as he goes on, you start to see why he starts to say certain things that he's saying, right? It's probably like, this is a letter, right? So he's probably heard of different things that happen, in his time traveling and stuff. And he's writing in a way that everybody's going to understand why they're getting this letter the way that they're getting it, right? So go ahead. Keep going. We're just going to read verse 22. Might as well.
Verse 14.
Almost done, guys.
If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them.
Right.
For if
me allowing you guys to come back, I know some of the people that are, of my flesh that know they Israelites, they're gonna be pissed off. Right? Because when you think of it, right, when you got those Jews, and when he talks about his flesh, he's not saying, because I know some of you Christianites will say, if they were talking about real Israelites, why would he say my flesh? That means he's talking to real Gentile. Well, he just told you he's of the tribe of Benjamin, right?
That's right.
There's Benjamites that would get mad at him for accepting you other Israelites. Why? Because there's brothers that was over righteous during that time, to the point where, I don't care what Jesus said. I don't care about no grace, nigga. These dudes been going off. They've been looking like Greeks. They wear dresses and bonnets and go to the gym. Like, what? I ain't finna sit at no table with these dudes. What's wrong with you? Right? That's the way brothers was. And we still have brothers like that today. Right? There's brothers that I'm from Atlanta, so I'm gonna mention this because this is prevalent here, right? I know brothers that will see a homosexual dude walk by and they won't teach him that he can't live that lifestyle because they have a high disdain for homosexuality, right? To me, that's over righteous, because how the hell the nigga gonna get out of that lifestyle if he don't know what's wrong? Right? But there's some brothers that don't want to teach that because they don't want to deal, they don't want to associate, they don't want to talk to people in that lifestyle. Right? It is what it is. So the same way that happens is the same way that, brothers had a problem from Paul's own nation, from, Jews, had a problem with Paul trying to bring back the other brothers and sisters that were living as Gentiles, right? Which is why he worded it the way he worded it, right? So keep going now that we've understood that.
Verse 15. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world.
Who's the world, Knock?
We are.
The Israelites, right? Isaiah 45:17, right?
That's right.
So John 3:16. So
Yep.
if the reconciling of the world, reconcile means to bring back, correct?
That's correct.
So he said talking about the bringing back of the Israelites, right? Is the Jews the only Israelites, or does the 10 tribes count too?
All of them count.
All of them count, right? So he's literally explaining to them, now that he's explained, hey, y'all can't be, I know it's going to be some people pissed off here, but the whole point is to reconcile the world, right? Bring everybody back. What did Jeremiah say we had to do, right? Bid them back to the marriage. It's going to be pastors after God's own heart, right? That come to feed you knowledge and understanding. That's what Paul was there to do. He's one of those pastors, right? He's bidding them back to the marriage. That was his job as the person bidding the Gentiles back, right? Go ahead.
Go on, verse 15 again. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
Because now you get to live because you've been brought back to your heritage, right? The losing the law gave you death, but gaining the law will give you life, right? Those that leave the law shall die, as Baruch said, but those that keep it shall come to life, right?
That's right.
We've got the analogy of the valley of the dry bones, all these different things, right? You all come back to life once you come back to your heritage. That's what the symbolizing or the phraseology was here. He's talking to those that know the law. This is Paul, right? That's how he speaks. Keep that in mind. Go ahead.
That's right. Verse 16. For if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
Mm-hmm.
And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou, being a wild olive tree, wert graft in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree.
So hold on, before you continue, right? The first fruit be holy, right? Who's that? Who is the one given the promise that was supposed to be passed down from, Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes? Who's the name I didn't mention? Abraham, right?
Give him a good hand.
Try to. So hopefully it was like Abraham. But yeah, so Abraham, right? He's the first fruit, right? He was holy, he was separate, and he showed that, right? In certain actions he gave, right? Whether it was him following the Most High, whether it was, him offering Isaac up, you know what I'm saying? All these different things, kicking out, the heathen, literally from his own household, right? There's different things he did to show his faith that made him, a holy first fruit. So they're saying if he good, his seed is good, right? The thing is, what Knock just read, right? Some of the branches were broken off, right? They were a wild olive tree, right? So there were some things they did contrary to what they were supposed to do, right?
Right.
But then it says they were grafted in among them, with them partakers the root of the fatness of the olive tree, right? So, like for example, when we came from Egypt, we had a mixed multitude with us, right? Did God say, you Israelites keep the laws and the mixed multitude do what they want? Or did they have to also keep the law if they were within our gates? When we kept the Sabbath, didn't he also say that the stranger within your gates have to keep it too? So there's things that everybody around us is subject to do when we're doing it. That's how it works, right? It's no different when it comes to the actual grafting in. One group of Israelites can't be doing something that another group of Israelites isn't allowed to do. So if one is being given grace to come back to the law, everybody has to be given grace to come back to the law.
Right.
That's how it works, right? Keep going.
God. Verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree wert graft in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree.
Mm-hmm.
Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee.
Yeah, you can't boast against the branches because we all fail, right? You don't have the right to say, well, I ain't in this lifestyle, whatever. I ain't got to teach that brother X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Or whatever, right? Because that's not what the deal is. That's not what the whole that's not what the what the plan was. That's not what was given to us. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we're allowed to do. It's not the way we're supposed to play this. We're supposed to be teaching our people to bring them all back to the law, right? Give ourselves an equal shot at being the kings and priests of the Most High to rule over His kingdom, right? Which is the planet Earth that He gave us, right? So there's a certain way we have to rule it in righteousness. In order to do that, all of us have to be on the same page, right? A nation divided against itself can't stand. So in order for us to be the rulers of this kingdom, right, we all have to be ruling it the way that it was supposed to be ruled through the laws it was supposed to be ruled by. In order for that to happen, though, we all have to be following those laws, right? So that's what he's getting into here, right? He's explaining that one group can't be grafted in and the rest of it can't be grafted in, because then it would make us be put in the situation that we're in now.
Right.
Nobody's going to take us seriously, because if we're the nation that's supposed to be above all people and we're not all on one accord, who the hell going to listen to you, right? So that's how it works. And we kind of see that with there being no new thing under the sun. As we see this kingdom falling, right, and ours about to begin, we see what's happening in America, right? Democrats and Republicans are on two different sides of the aisles, and their kingdom is falling. And they have two different ideas on how to make the kingdom run properly, right? One wants you to smoke crack and be gay, and the other ones want you to just make your money and not give a damn about nobody else. Just make your money, right? So which group is going to win? Once they realize neither one wins, the kingdom falls, and then we get to try it again through righteousness, right? But we see what's happening. When you're not on the same page, everything goes to hell. All hell breaks loose, right? So we have to get on the same page, but only under the laws that the Most High gave us, right? He gave us the page to get on. It's called the Bible.
Right.
Every page thereof, right? This is the culture and the heritage of the Israelites that was given to the congregations of Jacob. That's what we're supposed to get on. So keep reading.
Come, verse 19. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in.
Right. Yeah. Hey, man. Them Israelites fell off, bro. That nigga gay. I ain't teaching that dude. I woke up, so that's all that matters, right? Where your fringes at? Let's go out to eat. Nah, brother, it's about more than that. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be teaching that dude or whatever, because you know he might be one of the elect. You don't know.
God.
We might need him to get up out of here, but you know, because the way you thinking, we still here because you ain't teaching. He still got on the dress right now. He about to go to the club. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got up here Sister L's question. She says, where does the idea of being grafted in even come from? Well, actually, sis, we're reading it right now. But there's a total misunderstanding for what Christianity teaches versus what we're bringing out right now. Because if I'm reading your question right, you're asking that because, you know, like you said earlier, you spoke with a pastor. They will put themselves, they will twist this and put themselves, because where it says boast not against the branches, then it says the branches were broken off. So now they're saying that Israel's broken off.
Yeah, Israel's gone. Well, guess what's here now, right?
And they're able
Most
to
High made us a branch. It's called Christianity.
Right.
Right.
They're calling themselves the wild olive branch.
Yeah,
which they don't realize. Yeah. But what they don't realize is that, there you go. That's the point.
They're like a wild evergreen tree.
Right. But that's what if your question is going off of why Christians bring that up, it's these verses right here. That's why I left it up there, because I knew we were going there, and hopefully we could have answered that question for you. So that's where you get it from.
It comes from this chapter, but the concept, like Knox said, that comes from this chapter is not in no way, shape, or form taught in the church. Because this chapter, as I'm trying to explain to y'all, is only talking about Israelites being brought back to the covenant.
That's right. And we're going to see that.
There's brothers that don't want to accept him, right? And they've been boasting themselves against the Israelites that are supposed to be grafted back in and accepted back because we've been given grace. But instead of making it easy for them to come back, there's brothers boasting themselves against him. So Paul is teaching two lessons at the same time in this one chapter. He's teaching the people that have to be grafted back in why they get to be grafted back in. And he's teaching the people that didn't want to accept him why they have to accept him at the same damn time. That's how far Paul is. Go ahead.
Con, this is verse. I'm going to continue, and this is going to also complete her answer, going up to verse 23. But at verse 20, well, because of unbelief they were broken off, and thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared,
Yeah, like, yo, don't what? You don't want to accept these people? You don't see what happened to them?
right,
You don't think that can happen to you? That's basically what he's saying. Like, yeah, he's gay, but what if the Most High put that spirit on you tomorrow and you start being, you want to sleep with that nigga now, right?
right,
What then? Am I not supposed to tell you what you got going on? Am I just supposed to let you do it?
right,
Right? That's how Paul's talking to them. But the way it's written, you wouldn't really get that from the conversation if you don't understand the Bible. Paul was austere too. He wasn't no punk. So Paul's talking to them like, yo, he's giving them real stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got to accept these people. What do you mean? They're your folks. You can't just boast yourself against them because you didn't go off the way you think. You probably have things that you're going off with too. Ain't nobody's telling you can't come back to the law, that you can't be an Israelite because you went off before. So he's explaining to them that there's things they have to do to be able to accept these people back so that we could grow as a nation again, right? Keep going.
Come. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee.
Yeah, don't boast against these people. Whatever he did to them, he can do to you too. So take heed of that and just help these people get right. You know what I'm saying? Let's bid them back to the marriage, not hate on them. Go ahead.
That's right. Verse 22. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God on them which fell severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, thou also shalt be cut off.
And then he's explaining to them more, right? So there's people that gonna get to come back, right? For the ones that's gonna come back, they get goodness. But for the ones that went off and they're gonna stay off, it's really severity. That's the Most High keeping them in their own vomit, right? That's the Most High giving them that reprobate mind and just keep on doing whatever sin that they're doing, not thinking there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Right? That's a severe punishment because you had an option to come back and he's not even giving you the mind to do that. He put that spirit of blindness on you, right? The eyes that you can't see and ears that you can't hear to this very day, like you spoke about earlier. He's just mentioning that in a different way now, right? That's the severity. But the goodness is, this brother realizes he's off and now he's going to wake back. He's coming back to the law. He woke up, right? Goodness, right? You were given the option to come back to the law and you came back. Now you're going to be rewarded for that. Endure to the end to be saved and watch what happens to you, brother. Right?
Right.
That's how Paul was teaching. It wasn't just for anybody. It was for the Israelites, right? And the way he's teaching them is like it's for the Israelites. But now Israelites have forgotten that. Read what's next.
Verse 23. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief.
So if they come back fully with full faith, right? If they abide not still in unbelief, go ahead.
Shall be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again.
Again, right? Why does it say that? They'll be grafted in if they abide not in unbelief, right? If they think they could come back and they come back full-fledged, not lukewarm, right? If they make haste to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments that they left and they broke, right? Then the Most High will accept them back. They'll be grafted back into the covenant again, right?
Right.
Again. Because they were the people that he foreknew from the beginning. They had a foreknowledge of God. That's what this is talking about.
That's right.
Glad we went through that. Good job, man. So what? So, Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 22. We'll basically close it out here.
All right. Book of Ezekiel, chapter 22. Salaki, what verse did you say?
Ezekiel 14, verse 22.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got mixed up. Yeah, I got mixed up. Okay. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 14, and verse 22. And it reads, Yet, behold, therein shall be left a remnant that shall be brought forth, both sons and daughters. Behold, they shall come forth unto you, and ye shall see their way and their doings, and ye shall be comforted concerning the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem, even concerning all that they have brought upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 23.
Yeah, read that.
And they shall comfort you when ye see their ways and their doings, and ye shall know that I have not done without cause all that I have done in it, saith the Lord God.
See that? Everything that we went through for a reason, basically, right? Everything that he did, he took us around the world, put us through slavery. He allowed other nations to come against us and be over us and all this other stuff, right? But it was to teach us a lesson. If we don't keep the laws that he gave us to keep to show the other nations how they're supposed to live, this is how the world becomes, right? And if we were just subject to that world of lawlessness, this is what it looks like. He made sure that we get put in the brunt of it so that we can feel it every single damn day of our lives, right? That's the lesson. If we want to get out of that, the only way is to come back to the law, statutes, commandments, and to grow as the nation we were meant to be, right? In righteousness, raise up that righteous generation so that we won't be put in this situation again, right? Now that we know how severe this punishment was and why we got put in this situation. Because, I mean, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not, the reason we kept getting put in captivity is because our forefathers didn't understand that. That's why they kept sinning, right? That's why they kept doing the things they were doing to get us, knocked off and stuff like that by the Most High and to keep us on his bad side. So, yeah, man. There's a remnant of the sons and daughters that are going to be pleased with what we do. And the things that, we're teaching via the lessons that the apostles and Paul and even the prophets from before time gave us, because that's really what they was teaching too, right? These lessons are supposed to help us all with the grace that Yahushua gave us to come back to the law. Everything was for that, if you haven't realized it. That's why the Old Testament precepts and the New Testament precepts flow so freely and well together and stuff like that. And they all basically just explain how we got to come back to the law after we've been given his grace, which we all know we have now, because that's something that the church does teach correct, right? That we all have grace. Well, they say all. It's the Israelites. But all the Israelites have grace, right? The thing they don't teach properly is what you're supposed to do with the grace. The grace isn't for you to be homosexual.
Right.
It's for you to come back to the laws of God, right? It's not for you to celebrate Thanksgiving. It's for you to come back to the feast of the Most High, right? It's not for you to make a bunch of money and make this your heaven. It's for you to realize this is not your rest, right? Your rest is Israel, and we're trying to get back to that place. So we have to do what we can to make sure that us as a nation can get back there, right? We can't go now. There's other people living there. There's got to be some things that happen to get them out the way, right? We have to make sure that we're ready when those things happen to be able to just get up and go when Yahushua pull up, right? And that's what we're all in the midst of living out right now. We're getting ready. Spiritually, mentally, physically. They see it, right?
Right. That's right.
So that's what it is. That's what's happening. So give me John 4:22 and then Daniel 7:18. We could be about it.
God. The book of John, chapter 4, and verse 22. And it reads, Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
Mm-hmm. So that's what it is, man. And it's not just the Jews, it's the Israelites too, right? The whole 12 tribes. That's what salvation is for, right?
That's right.
Well, why was it mentioned like that in John? Because John 4:22, we're still in a situation where, well, the grafting in hasn't exactly started yet, right? But once Paul gets on the scene, we see that the same salvation that's spoken about in John is given to all of the Israelites, right? And that's where we at now. So we know what we worship, right? The Christian church teaches salvation is for everybody that believes in Jesus, but the Bible teaches Jesus only came for the 12 tribes of the house of Israel, right? So that's what it is. Salvation is for them and only them, whether you like it, understand it, believe it or not. And those Gentiles of that nation, Israel, right? They're the only ones that get to be grafted back into the covenant, because the word is backing. They can't be grafted back into something they were never a part of in the first place, right? Not can I be put into a house again that I never saw or never went into?
All right, doesn't make sense.
The house you in right now, I never been there, right?
Nope.
Can I go back to that house?
You can try. I'd like to see you try.
How do I go back to a house that I ain't never been to? I ain't never
Right.
seen. I don't know what it look like. I don't know what your
Right.
address is. Don't know how to find it.
Right.
I don't even know if you're really in Michigan. He could be in Indiana somewhere telling us he in Michigan and stuff. He ain't even there. You know what I'm saying? He could be in freaking Quebec, Canada.
I'm everywhere.
But I'm sitting here like, I'm going to go back to your house, knock, and I ain't never even been there. Right? Like, it don't make no sense. So that's literally what the Christian church has done. They've put themselves back in a covenant that they tell you don't have to keep. You ain't got to keep none of the laws of it. You know what I'm saying? But we're the ones that the Most High chose to put in this covenant above the Israelites that it was given to.
How are they even, if they're, it's saying that they're coming, how can they, like you already explained it, how can the Christian church go back to something that was never given to them in the first place?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it
Doesn't make any sense.
And that's
if they
how
read the scripture though, they'd understand that it says that you're going back, right? You're being grafted back in again. It's not a grafting in for the first time. It's not a miraculous grafting. It's a grafting in again. It's a re-putting together the same tree, right?
Yep.
It's still a miraculous event. It's still something that me or you can't do naturally, just like, right? But the Most High basically did it like that.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, man, it's crazy how they do it, but that's Christianity. It's one hell of a drug, right? Daniel chapter 7:18.
And before I get Daniel chapter 7:18, of course, the class is always fire. We get edification every time. We try to hope that we're edifying everyone. So we're going to give applause for the class. Right, that's right. That lion got a roar. Before I get Daniel 7:18, I want to give shout outs to those who came, were able, who posted in the chat that you were here, who I did miss early before class. So I'm going to go ahead and shout you out now. So a big hearty shout out to Soldier Chaziah, Shalom to Proverb Nation, Shalom to Brother Yaakov Ben Zebulon, Shalom to Be Like Ants, Brother Be Like Ants, Soldier Gary, Shalom to Soldier Antonio, Shalom to Soldier DTA Twan, Shalom to Soldier James Jones, Shalom to Captain Yahawada, Shalom to the lovely Sisabaya the Humble, also Shalom to Officer Kadar Aharon, and I'm looking around to see if I missed anyone else. I don't think I have missed anyone, but thank you as always for being diligent, for being a part of the class. Share the class, like the class, share the class with your family and friends, so we can get this word out. Also, any brothers again who are looking to help build this congregation, please, and want to be a part of our prospect phase, please send us an email at anointedhos@gmail.com, and we'll get that information to you as to when the next prospect phase will start. Also, sisters, we have a class that will be starting for you that's coming soon. It is in the works. It's under construction at this moment. It's called the Sisters Corner. If you want to be a part of that, please send us a request through email at anointedhos@gmail.com. I said the other announcements earlier today. So with that, I'm going to get Daniel 7:18, and we can go ahead and get everyone back to their normal Monday evening. All right. So let's get it. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 18. All right, let me pull that up. All right, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." Khan, Bahashima Mashak Yahweh Shai. I want to say thank you. The class this evening, again, a complete lesson on Gentiles and salvation. I hope that you gleaned something from this. you were edified in some way. I'm gonna look at the comments. Did anyone else comment real quick before I let go? Doesn't look like it. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. I am Soldier Salakia. I am Officer Not. No, I'm getting sleepy. With Captain.
Oh, my bad. Captain, my bad. I'm reading precepts. I'm reading comments and stuff. Y'all, I'm tripping.
Right.
Shout all the aristocrat.
Yes, and we are Anointed House of Saints. Thank you for coming again to another Milk Monday. Please don't miss the rest of our week's classes. Always go through the list. Not tomorrow, but Wednesday we have Wild Out Wednesday with Captain Yahawada. Thursday we have Thursday Night Live with Captain Jonathan. Friday is our prayer hour requests. You can call in on our line. We may have a class for Power Hour. We may have a class for Friday Night Focus, but also Saturday, which is Sabbath, which will be with Captain Aharon. Those are our classes. We will be looking for them on YouTube and all the other social media channels. But with that, we would like to say good night and shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom to everyone. Let me find it so we can get on out of here.
This is not a test.
Black skin, black sauce, black Jesus, black music, 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 black music, black music, black music, black music.